Okay, alrighty. Welcome in. Welcome to stream. I have one hope for stream moving forward, and that one hope is... hopefully, I don't have to calibrate my art tablet. Anyways, welcome! I forgot to add back in the capture for the art program, but that gives me time to go over what we'll be doing today! So, today, we will be going through and doing art things. No, art tutorial. We're gonna be learning how to draw, kind of, sort of. Ignore how big this is right now. It's too big. We're gonna ignore that, though. It needs to go down. It needs to go behind me. Right about there. Okay, perfect. Right about there. Yes, perfect, glorious. That's exactly where we want it. Or is it? No, I don't want to hide what tools I'm using. Okay, that's exactly where we want it. Anyways, when last we left off, I was talking about really basic sketching and things like that. Today, we're going to be working on the face. Gotta actually open the file first.
Everyone has gotten you, always on the run. But if you join the syndicate, life could get a little more fun. And all of the horses.
Give me just a second to find the file. I have misplaced it. Oh shoot. Here? Haha! Found it. Took me a second, but that's okay. I know what I'm doing, I swear. Anyways, this was what we were working on last. God, I have too much stuff. Not enough space. Anyways. As you can see, we sketched out this lovely little wyvern girl that we were going to be using. And today we're going to work on the base of the face, as well as, if we have time, the eyes, the mouth, etc. Now, to go back over the face, the main things to keep in mind about drawing a face is you have three basic shapes. You have shape number 1, which is circle. Shape number 2, which is like a rectangle or a square, depending on circumstances. And then you have the triangle. So what you're gonna do is, when you're drawing the face, the circle always goes at the top, but you can kind of like bring up a little rectangle and bring up a little triangle. And you have this really basic face shape. You may want to like smooth out the lines a little bit, but overall that is the gist of how you make a face. Circle, rectangle, triangle. Now, what we're gonna do, because we're also doing a how to make a Vtuber section, each thing is going to be individually cut into parts. If you just want to learn how to draw, you do not need to cut these things into these individual parts. There are some parts that it would be better to like have them on separate layers, but for the most part, for traditional art, I will do a line art layer, and then I will do the layer for the different colors, like this is the skin, this is the clothes, blah blah blah. But you can split it into as many layers as you like for illustrations, but for VTuber models, you need a lot of layers. Like a lot. So, that so was a little loud coming from me. Now, first thing you want to do is going to make your life so much easier is take the sketch layer and you're just going to fade it out a bit. You can like fade it for your own preference. So basically, whatever you feel like is going to be the easiest for you when you fade it out, do that. one thing I need to keep in mind here is how the face looks underneath. Like, I need this part here, right? Like, I need to be able to see how the face shape is under the hair, because we will have to draw all of that if we are doing a VTuber model. Every single bit of that will have to be drawn. Which is why I saved these individual sketch layers. It really helps in the long run. Now, if you've been using the symmetry ruler, you're going to turn the symmetry ruler back on for this because it will be very useful. Thanks for the motivate. Now, I have a very particular method of doing line art, but there are other ways to do line art. Like, some people just do black lines. And I know a lot of people say, oh, you shouldn't do black lines, you shouldn't do black lines. I don't care. Your style is up to you. If you want to use black line art, you absolutely can. I'm not going to judge you for it. Hi, Darla. But the way that I color my lines is kind of like a really lazy way to color my lines. What I do is I go in and I go, okay, what color do I want the skin to be right now? Actually, for this face, I don't think we need the ruler just yet. Okay, so I don't know what color to make my lines. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to make a layer, and on that layer, I'm going to take like a little bubble that I can use for like maybe a... Okay, good, my pen pressure works. I don't have to calibrate my tablet, yay! Anyway, so we're going to take a little bubble and be like, okay, this is the base skin color right here. Base skin color. And then we're going to make a layer above that. And that layer is going to be like this reddish brown. Like that. Weird. Okay, yeah, reddish brown like this. And the way we're going to find the line art color... This is so weird. This is just the way I do it. If you don't want to go through the trouble, you don't have to. But I turn this layer with the lines into a multiply layer. I set it to 50% opacity, so it's partially see-through. And then I duplicate the layer. And then that layer, I'm gonna actually, what is this thing called? I'm gonna lock the transparent pixels so I can't color outside of it. And I'm gonna make these lines, I'm gonna make them a slightly lighter shade of the reddish brown. I say lighter, but I mean more of like a paler, probably less saturated. And then I'm going to set that to color burn. And this right here will be the color that I use when I am doing the line art for the skin, specifically only the skin. And I can just grab it with the little color grabber tool. And then I have that color accessible now. Boom, boom. I will do that for literally any color ever. If I need to know what I need to make the line art, I'll always do that. The only exception is with really dark colored items, I will absolutely use black line art because if they're really dark, anything other than black just isn't going to show up, basically. So once you're done selecting your line art color, you can just go ahead and delete all of those layers. You don't need them right now. And this is where you turn on the symmetry ruler. Now, when I do line art, I like to use something called a vector layer. If I can just move my butt out of the way, I don't know if you can see. This is where you select the layers. The vector layer is this thingy right here that looks like a box with a cube in it. And you're gonna click on that to make a vector layer. Vector layers are useful for a variety of reasons, but first of all, I'm going to name this layer, because I will name all my layers. You will lose them if you do not name them. So I'm going to call this headline. I'm not going to hit the space bar, though, because I'm lazy. So one of the things that is a benefit of a vector layer is, let's say you draw a line, right? Oh, I don't like this line. There's a handful of things you can do. First and foremost, there's a tool, I'll find it eventually, called Simplify Vector Line. And if you brush it over the line, it simplifies it, right? What does that mean? Well, it changes the shape just a little bit. But if you go up here to the object tool that looks like a little cube with an arrow on it, you can actually select this and you see that there are dots. There are like little points on it, and you can use those points to manipulate the line directly. You cannot do this unless it is a vector layer. It's not possible. Now, me personally, if I don't like the lines, I'm just gonna full on just delete it and just start over because I'm a perfectionist. But the other thing that you can do with... Oh, I forgot to turn up my stabilization. Actually, this is not even the right brush. Whoops! So I usually use a G pen when I'm doing line art. Whoop! I made a mistake. Okay. Let's check out the stabilization, because I need some serious stabilization. Okay. That's still not good enough for me. No, stabilization, get up there. That might be a bit too much. Hold on. Stabilization is a little setting that helps you stabilize your lines, essentially. Very, very self-explanatory. Okay, so, no, absolutely not. I'm gonna do this like 500 times. Don't worry about it. Wait. Okay, so, no. Absolutely not. No. Why? Absolutely not. No. It's better, but not quite. There's a couple of things that you're gonna notice with these lines here, which is another thing that I can use a feature of vector layers to do. So first and foremost, this is a bit wonk. Secondly, this is a bit wonk. This one, I'm actually going to use the tool that I described earlier, using the object tool to manipulate these to kind of be more even. Kind of even that out there. Now, the other one is like, oh no! Oh no, the lines, they cross. Whatever can I do about it? Normally you'd go in with an eraser, right? There's a much easier method, and that is the vector eraser. So if you go to the eraser tab, you should be able to find something labeled as vector eraser. So a vector eraser will erase only to the lines where they're connected. So you just swipe over it and bam,
we're a bunch of pirates, man.
your problem is solved. It's a very useful tool. However, I will go in just a little bit anyways because I do have to make sure that's less pointy.
Passing the time as we roam across the ocean. Feel the waves envelop your mind as they rock you with emotion. Calling like a lullaby, singing like a siren's cry. Through every night, can you prove to me all your devotion?
I am gonna like refine it just a little bit. Most of these you're just gonna have to eyeball it, right? A lot of art is just kind of eyeballing something and going, this looks right, this doesn't look right. So you will have to do a lot of just, something about this is funky, how do I fix it? Eventually, after years of practice, you will kind of get that sense for those kinds of things. It'll be a bit harder in the beginning, I know, but in the beginning, as long as you're happy with what you're doing, your art should be fine. It should be something that makes you happy. So, we have this lovely little line for the base of the head. Now, depending on how elaborate you want your rigging to be for a model, you may or may not want to leave the line art for the head on a separate layer. I'm going to do that because that's what I do nowadays in order to get more complex rigging. But if you think that your computer can't handle having so many layers, or you don't want something super complicated, then you don't have to have them on separate layers. It's not required. It is just an option. So, I'd make a layer below this line art layer, and we're gonna call this one, I guess we're gonna call it head. So now you have to go in and you have to color this with whatever skin color you want it to do. An easy way to do like the coloring and stuff is you can go in here and just kind of go around the outskirts, like make a second line. I know this is a bit more time consuming than some methods, but the paint bucket tool for the enclose and fill almost never works for me. Like, for real. I have to backtrack a bit because I'm not sure if I went outside the lines. You do not want to go outside the lines. It will make things look a little bit awkward if you do. Hi! Thank you for stopping by. I'm doing my best to tell people my secrets. Not that I think any of them are really secrets, because every time I stream, I'm always rambling about what I'm doing anyways. Alright, so after you do like a little outline around everything, you're gonna go to the paint bucket tool. I know I said the paint bucket tool never works for me, this is true. And then refer only to editing layers should be the setting that it's on by default. You want it to be on that one. And then you're just gonna paint bucket it. Now, what I have to do is, if you look here, this is why I said the paint bucket tool hates me. So I'm gonna have to undo that and go into the settings for the paint bucket. And figure out how to make the settings not hate me. We're gonna try this one. See, much better. So you might have to fidget with the settings a little bit to actually get it to where you want to go. But as you can see, we have the base for a face. Now, there are a couple of things you can do for some minor shading without having to do extra layers. Typically, one thing I like to do is I like to like shade the upper half of the egg, if you will. So, first of all, let me switch back to my pen. Obviously, it's a little bit tricky, like going, okay, how do I do shadows? A lot of people starting out, they'll just like pick a purple and they'll set it on a multiply layer. That's an easy way to do shadows. The way I do shadows nowadays is I take the color that I'm on, I go to the color picker wheel, and then I kind of just bring it down a little bit and in, and then I bring it down to a different color, kind of like slightly off to the side. Leaning more towards like warmer colors or more towards cooler colors for the shadows is really just a personal preference. I always just go slightly to the left of whatever the skin tone is. So like if it's a more golden skin tone, I'll go more towards the orange. If it's more orange skin tone, I'll go more towards the red. And if it's a more pinkish skin tone, I'll probably lean more towards a purpley. But yeah, once you decide on what all you want the color below to be, then what you're gonna do is, I like to go in with the soft airbrush, I got distracted, sorry. With the soft airbrush and kind of just like brush gently over the top. You don't have to do anything complex for this. That's it. As long as you make sure you've locked the transparent pixels before airbrushing it. Because if you don't lock the transparent pixels, here's what's gonna happen. See? It's gonna be on the outside, and you can't have that. So you always want to lock the transparent pixels once you have the base colored down. There are gonna be a few exceptions in this tutorial, though. For more complex stuff for rigging. For example, one of the things I'm going to do for rigging is I'm going to do a cover or a sort of control little thing for the line for the head. So I'm going to just say headline cover is what I'm going to call this one. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little paintbrush and I'm just going to do a little dot like right here. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. And when I'm done, I'm going to click the little eyeball. You can see them, the little eyeball. I'm going to click it, and I'm going to hide it, because I don't need to see it while I'm coloring. I don't need to see it at all. It just needs to be something I have only for when I'm rigging. I do think, just because of how I am, I might gently blur the outside. You don't have to do this, but I'm just gonna gently blur the outside. It just makes me feel more comfortable. Now the other shading thing that we're gonna do that is going to remain invisible is sort of something that we can use for when the face is looking side to side. So I'm gonna call it head shade. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this, which is still the same color that we chose for the shade, and we're gonna just do like this. There's no rhyme or reason for it right now. There will be rhyme or reason for it later, just not right now. I had to smooth it out because my brain wasn't gonna let me be like that unorganized. Okay, so we're just gonna, I guess, like gently blur the outsides again, because that is how I am as a person. They must be gently blurred, all of them. And then we're gonna hide that layer, just like we did with the other. So we're gonna click on the little eyeball, hide the layer. Perfect. Safety save, because I'm paranoid. So we're gonna save it to be safe. Anyways, moving on. Why did I do that? That was weird. I don't know why I chose to do that. So, as you can see, it's like, ah, man, I can't see my sketch right now. What do I do? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a folder. And I'm gonna call that folder face. And then I'm gonna drag everything that I just did into the folder. Close the folder. Here's our little folder right there. And we're gonna move it beneath the sketch folder. And now we can see the sketch on top, which is what we need right now. Now, because I went ahead and I did the base for the head, I think I could go into the sketch layer and turn that one off and just go back to the clean sketch. So the next thing we're gonna work on is the ears. Now, I know I'm not doing standard ears, so it's not gonna be very useful unless you're doing more elven or fantasy style creatures, I admit. But I did do a brief explanation on how I do ears in the last stream, which has been highlighted. So you can go in and review the sketch stream information at any point that you want. This one will also be highlighted, but if it's anything like the last one, it'll take me a week to actually remember to do so. Now, you're going to, I have to fix this. I'm sorry, my brain, There's too many tabs on the color thingy, and I don't know what's going on. I have to hide them or I'm gonna go insane. Okay, maybe not there. That's not the tab that I need. Absolutely not. No. Put that away. Put that away. Okay, cool. Now I just have 3 tabs. I didn't want that many tabs on my color wheel. Okay, so if you go to your history, your color history, which is one of the many color tabs that they have, you should be able to find the one that you chose for your line art. So you can just reuse that one for the ears, since obviously it's going to be the same color as the skin tone. And then you're going to go up here, you're going to make a new line art layer, and you're going to draw in some little ears following your sketch. So you do want to draw like a full sort of... This is the front part of the ear. You are kind of you're gonna kind of want to follow through a little bit on some of these lines, because they are going to be, let me just do that gently, and then that. There's really not a lot of rhyme or reason behind why I put the lines where I put the lines. I wish there was. I wish I could give you a proper explanation, but the lines are just there. I can explain the shading much more. So, for now, you're gonna hide this face layer because you actually want to be able to see what you're coloring, you know? And then you're gonna make a layer and you're just gonna call it ear. Not ears, just ear. There will be a reason for that later. So then you're gonna go into color history. You're gonna pick the color that you were using for the base skin tone. And you're gonna do a very similar thing with what you did with the face, where you go in here and you outline everything. And then use the fill tool. There we go. Now what I like to do, in the hopes that it will actually blend a little bit better when you're doing the rigging, is I like to blur the outer edge a little bit. Once you've blurred it, you're going to lock the transparent pixels again. And then you're going to grab the color that you chose for your shading, and you're going to shade the ear. How I shade the ear, personally, is I start with like a little dot right here, where the inner ear is. Now this can work on normal people ears too. You're just going to like put like a little dot where the center of the ear would be. And then, if I rotate this so it's like at a normal angle, okay, so ear, dot, and then you're gonna one moment actually. So sorry about that. I was getting a phone call, so I had to stop and answer that. But no, okay. So what I'm doing with the ear here, which you can kind of see, is I'm making like a weird little. See the little zwoop, the part that's clear? It's almost like a little crescent moon shape. That's how I always remember it. I remember it as being like almost a little crescent moon shape that you leave clear. And then the other thing I'm going to do is on the outer edge of the ear, probably do a little bit of shading. Let's flip this back around to where it needs to be. And then as usual, just kind of give everything a little bit of a blur. Nothing too crazy. I might actually go back to the original paint color here to kind of, because I don't think I like it that too heavy. A lot of little minor touch-ups, minor cleanings will have to be done, of course, but I actually don't understand what this one line is for anymore, and it bothers me. Now this is one where it doesn't matter if you have the lines merged with the lower layers, so I am going to merge the line art layer with the ear layer. If you right click on the layer, a little menu of sorts will pop up, and then you're going to want to look down until you find the one that says merge with layer below, and then you're going to click on it and it will become one layer. Now the reason why I only had you name it ear and not ears is because the ears need to be on separate layers. So what you're going to do is you're going to turn off the symmetry ruler because it will get in the way, and then you're just going to select this ear right here, and you're going to cut and paste it onto its own layer. And I will name this one left ear, or ear L. Now I bet you're wondering, Ryu, but that's on the right side. That's on our right. It would be on that character's left. Therefore, I am naming it left ear. It's a weird system, but that is kind of how you need to name and organize all your stuff, because if not, it will probably end up being rigged incorrectly. So this is going to be ear L, left ear, and then the other one you can rename to ear R, or right ear. Once you have those all situated, you can drag them into your face folder, and then ba-bam! You have little ears behind your little face, and each ear is on in individual layers, so you can just boop boop. It's coming together beautifully. Another safety save. I like to save after I complete an action. Doesn't matter how minuscule the action is. I just save out of paranoia. So. Brain fog. Anyways. The next thing we can work on probably is going to be the eyes. Now there's a lot that happens with eyes. The eyes are probably one of the more elaborate parts you will have to rig, so it will need to be split into a lot of different parts. So obviously we're going to start with the lashes. So I'm going to go ahead and make a vector layer. And I'm just gonna call it upper lash. Turn back on that symmetry ruler. Now, as of right now, I have no idea what color I want these lashes to be. Usually I color the lashes after coloring the hair because I am one of those people that does colored eyelashes. A lot of people will just leave it just straight up, just black, which again is totally fine. I personally, aesthetically though, really enjoy when they're colored in a way that is similar to the hair. I was planning on making this character's hair a more reddish color. Unfortunately, I'm not sure yet if I'm going to go full red or if I'm going to go pink. So for now, we're just going to color them kind of like a reddish pink color, and if we need to change them later, we will. But for now, it's a good start. So we're going to have to go to our little color wheel here. We're going to have to find a color that we like. So I'm going to go down to the pinkish area, and I'm going to go through here, kind of like dragging through until I think I have a color I like. Maybe that? That? Yeah, that could be a nice color. Alright, so for the most part, for the upper lash here, you're gonna follow everything pretty straightforward. So you're just gonna, from here, follow through. Why is my stabilization just not existing? I hate that. It's fine. And then from up here, you're gonna kind of follow through here. Oh my goodness. Now, as you can see, there is a little bit of a lip here, so you are gonna want to add that in. Now, depending on your art style, the eyelashes may be more complex or more simple, because each person has their own way that they want to draw eyes and eyelashes. So this process may be easier for you or may be more difficult. If your eyes are more complex, you may need to have more layers, but if they're more simple, you may need less layers. Now, I kind of like to leave this one a little bit open-ended where I just dash, 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 dash. But sometimes I do kind of put a little bit more focus into it and do something like this, where it's more chunk, if you will. Oh no, I've made a mistake. Okay. So let's say this is the upper lash. I'm gonna keep staring at it because I'm trying to like determine in my brain, like, do I like this? Do I not like this? Brain go burr. No. Typically for this, I don't usually make an extra layer, but I think for this case specifically, I will. I'm just gonna wing it with the name here because I'm not sure, but I am gonna make these two little dashes here their own layer. That way I can kind of work on the rigging a bit better. I'm really winging it with this one because I'm not sure how I want this to be.
I wanna be a part of an ecosystem. See the fireflies so I can light up with them. swim along and along with the fish and buzz
Fidget with
around
this
and
a bit
around
more.
with the bees. Jump up on lily pads and meet a frog just like me.
Gosh darn you.
Wishing on a
I
star,
can't make this look the way that I want it to look.
waiting for a sign. Trust in myself, and who knows what I'll find. Moving on to a bigger pond. Hopping on.
I don't want it to be flat like this, but I also can't make it 100% do what I want it to do.
A place where I can find my family. So sing along to this froggy song. When the world is spinning you round and round, and you feel it rocking you to the ground, gotta hop back up and don't wear a frown. Don't let it get you down. When the world is spinning
Something like that.
and round, and you feel it
Not the worst thing in the world. Okay, so
don't let it get you down. Wishing on a star.
after you do these, I am going to rasterize these layers.
And who knows what
Making them a raster layer is probably good in the long run. Okay, we're going to lock the transparent pixel. And we're going to bring the color down, make it darker, and just kind of like make a darker color in the center here, and then blur it. Actually, I think I might blend it instead. Just kind of blend it
As
in.
always, listen up, bozos. Yo, you are valid as but you smell like
Go back to the
vodka.
original
So,
color, and then
go
we're
take a
gonna
big shower, eat
paint a
some
little of the
good food,
original
drink some
color
water,
in the
brush
middle
your
here.
teeth, get some good sleep, and kick the
Use
crap
the
out of
blend
car.
tool.
Much love as always. Take care.
Then question our life choices and just spray paint over it just a little bit with the original color. And then I'm just gonna get a lighter color. Don't mind me, I have no idea what I actually want in these circumstances. So this will make them look a little bit shiny, but the thing is, I'm not sure how shiny I actually want to make them. So I might kind of fade them a bit. Alright, that'll be a nice touch. And then one of the things I like to do to the outer edge of the eyelashes is I like to take the skin color and then on the very outer edges just kind of gently, I'm gonna have to do it on this part too. Ooh, too much. But yeah, just kind of like gently brush over. That way they blend into the face a little bit more. We are going to make a folder for the lashes. Right now, we're going to make a lashes folder so that we can drop these in. Or miss the folder entirely, that works too. Okay, drop them in. And then hide our current progress so that we can do the rest of the lashes. Gotta wiggle around. Okay. So then we're gonna go back to the original color that we had for the lashes. Oh. And then make a layer that we're gonna call side lashes. Or side lash. As I said before, probably gonna want to use raster layers for these. And then we're gonna go in here, and we're gonna go here, and we're gonna make this. Now you can use an eraser to kind of like touch it up a little bit, maybe give it a bit more of a point if you need to. But as you can see, oh no, because we did that one weird thing, now the colors don't match up on the outside. Easy fix. We'll also brush a little bit of the skin color onto this too. Probably not that much because it didn't work. Okay. Trying to get the perfect blend here. There we go. That's what we wanted. It matches perfectly now. Now, will that continue when we're rigging? That remains to be seen. But for now, the colors blend perfectly. We're also going to drop that boy into the lash folder. Actually, for the last part, I don't need to hide anything, so we're going to do the bottom lash. May take you a while to get the lashes aligned the way that you want to. For me, I think this is good right here. Now, another thing you can do is if you want the bottom lashes to be more ornate, you can have a secondary layer and you can have like little... like that. It just depends on the vibe you're going for. Me, personally, I don't do those types of lashes. But if you do them, I do recommend having them on a separate layer. Now that you've done all of them, you're going to turn off the ruler again. You're going to select all of your lash layers. Circle that with the little selection tool. And then use the cut paste button, and it should make each of the layers you selected, the side that you've selected, into individual layers. So you should have essentially a copy of each layer you just made, but with only the one side on it. So anything that has copy attached to the name, you're going to go in and you're going to rename it. So like, if it says copy, it would be bottom lash L, or side lash L, so on and so forth. And any of the originals, the other side, is going to be R. Might take a while to rename everything, but that's okay. Now, typically, I make the eyelashes and the eyebrows the same color, so while I have these colors squared away, I am going to go ahead and do the eyebrows, because it's a very simple layer to do. I'm just gonna name the layer brow. And then go in and... give it a softer feel, try and make it seem a little bit more natural? I'm not sure. You can leave them a simple color like this, or you can add a little bit of the shading, maybe like spray paint the outer edge to be a little bit darker or a little bit lighter. It's really up to you what you want to do with it. And then once you have that squared away, really easy, just do the same thing you've been doing, where you turn off the ruler, select, cut and paste, rename the layer to be the side that it's supposed to be. Left and right. Now, the next part is, I honestly, legitimately do not know how to pronounce this word. It's like sclera or something like that. Honestly, half the time I just call it sclera, even though that's not how it's spelled. But, like, essentially the white of the eyes. Some people, when they're doing fantasy characters, they'll make it like a different color, but for the sake of this, we're just gonna have it be a normal, standard, just white color. Now, I'm gonna be extra, and I'm gonna name it the sclera thing. Whatever the heck it is. Now, in my case, it's gonna be really hard for me to see the color white on these colors. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to pick a color that I know I'm going to be able to see on these colors, and I'm going to color it that way. And then I'm going to realize my symmetry ruler's not turned back on, and I'm going to curse my existence. Okay. Always remember to turn the symmetry ruler back on. Moving on. Take two, take two. Handy dandy paint bucket here. But then you're like, oh no, that looks like a nightmare. Whatever will we do? First and foremost, I'm going to move it below the lashes. And you're going to lock the layer. And you're going to make it the color you need it to be. Nice and easy. Also, thank you for the hydrate. Question, why did I not get whacked in the face? Gonna have crazy stuff pop up on the screen for now. Did that pop up on the screen? I can't tell. Here, I'll put it where I can see it when I'm throwing. Okay, it pops up. Huh, I wonder why. Weird. I don't know why it didn't appear with the, hydrate thingy. Well, once you get this part squared away, we're just gonna move on. Once you get this part squared away, what you're gonna want to do is, it really depends on preference. I've never done it this other way, but you can take the little part that I'm about to do, and you can do it on another layer if you want. I've never done it that way, but you can do it that way. So basically, all I'm gonna use here is I'm gonna go over the sclera or whatever it is, and maybe not that much. That's a bit much. I'm trying to make it like 100% perfect, which is unnecessary, but... So you have, like, the little... Can I... Thank you. I'm still trying to perfect it, y'all. Just kind of like get it as perfect as you want it to be. But yeah, that can be on a different layer, but I'm keeping it on the same layer. Because I can't be bothered. You are gonna want to drag this sketch up though, so you can actually see what you're doing when you get to the part with the eyes. Alright, now in terms of the eyes, we're gonna have to use the same method to select the line art color again. Because I don't have one. We're gonna pick a nice pastel green is what I want to do. Ooh, actually... Do we want the eyes to be green or do we want them to be yellow? Chat, y'all have a preference? Because option number 1 is this green right here. And option number 2 is gonna be a sort of pastel yellow. They're both pastel colors no matter what. But do y'all have a preference? Just the vibe here for a second. I mean, I guess in the end I could probably use both colors, but yeah, you vote yellow. Wait. No green. Okay. I figure if I do green, like for example, if I do the green, let's say I do the green for the eyes. So one of the things that I can do is I could do the green and then I could make the little pupil thing yellow. And that way I have both colors involved. But I also worry that the yellow will be so pale it doesn't stand out as a color. But I could still do like yellow highlights or something like that. The other option is that I do a sort of pastel pink instead in the center. Which I could also technically do on this one. Or just white. Anyways, let's move on to the line picking color thing. So, do our first little line. We'll do both just in case. Multiply. 50%. Duplicate. Lock transparent pixels. Make the lighter brown. Color burn. Alright. You like the pink? It is a little bit wacky trying to figure out like what I'm gonna do with the colors here. Alrighty, so. I lost myself for a second. We're gonna make a line art layer. The line art layer is gonna be for the eyes. We're gonna be terribly lazy. And we're just gonna use this tool right here. However, I do think I don't want the eye there. As you can see, we're making the eyes bigger than we originally sketched them out to be. Just because I think it would look nicer. It'll make the character feel more, I don't know, peppy? Alright, we're gonna go in with the green. Alright, now we got our base colors in. Now we're gonna have to do some shading for the eyes. So we're gonna lock the pixels here. Now, as per usual, find your shading color. For green, you're definitely gonna want to go more towards blue for, like, what you're using for the shading. Now, I use a very particular brush for shading. This is just me. I love the textured feel to it. But I use a little brush that makes it look like little clouds. Now, you're not going to want to just do one shade and then end it there. No, you are going to want to, like, lower the saturation, bring the color down, maybe move it over a bit more. And you'll have to do that a couple of times to, like, give it a sort of gradient. But once you've made it dark enough at the top of the eyes that you're satisfied, you can just stop with the gradient. Now, this is a good place to kind of like vibe with. Now, there is something to consider, and that is highlights. Now, there are two forms of highlights for the eyes. One of them I make, which is essentially like built in, if you will. It's basically built in to the eye. Well, as you can see, that's not working worth a darn. You kind of like have it be lighter at the bottom. Like, it's part of the gradient. This didn't really work out the way that I wanted it to, though. So I'm definitely going to have to, I'm gonna try a different approach. You could like put little shapes in the eyes. Now even I'm not sure if I want to do this. I'm just thinking about what I had on the sketch layer, which to be honest I need to move up. Ah, see here, I had it a little bit differently. I don't know if I had it like a you do a little something like that, which I'm gonna have to turn off the sketch layer to actually see what it looks like. Definitely don't vibe with that. Although I will say it looks better with that line art color. Trying to get it perfect, but I'm just blah. And this just goes to show, no matter how much experience you have, you always make mistakes. But the mistakes help you learn. Like right now, I'm struggling. I don't know what it is that I want. But eventually, when I do find out what I want, I can move on. And all will be well. We'll try it with those for a second, but I may or may not remove them depending on how I feel about it as the final product here. Now, the other type of highlight that you're going to want to have, you will have to draw without the symmetry ruler on. So you will have to go and turn off the symmetry ruler to do this type of highlight. You're just going to go in and you're just going to draw a little circle or something right here. Now, the pupil we've decided to do is a flower-shaped pupil. Most of you are going to choose to do just normal, bog standard, just like regular circle pupil. Which, again, you can kind of use the little ellipse tool to draw a circle as a bit of a cheat. However, I'm being very wackadoo, and therefore I cannot have anything to help me. Let's start with this. Yep, okay, so let's go ahead and we will use the ellipse tool. Just kind of like get an idea of where it needs to be in the eyes. That's a great idea, so we're gonna do that. And then from there, we're gonna kind of make petals. Now, I kind of do want to have an outline for that, and I did it with the yellow, but there's a little tool up here called, up here in this area where you see the color, there's a little tool that looks like a circle, and it's called Border Effect. And if you click on it, the very first border you're going to get is white, but you can change that color to be a different color. So let me go down, and we'll make that a different color. And I think I'll make it maybe a little bit thinner, too. Maybe I'll make it more saturated. Now, what I want to do with the pupil is, the bottom part I'm going to have be a bit darker, and the upper part I'm actually going to have be a bit lighter. Make it more saturated as well. What do y'all think? With the yellow? Or without the yellow? know it's very subtle. You could hardly tell the difference. Ah. With, even if it is subtle? Okay. In that case, I will merge that with the eye layer below. Merge the line art with the eye layer, because that's how we roll here. Now there is another thing we have to do for the eyes, and I call it reflection. We don't have to do it. I just like to do it because I feel like it adds a whole other sort of layer or vibe to the image. So to make the reflection, typically I like to go for purples or blues for reflections. In this case, I think we're gonna go for more of a purple due to the fact that everything here is pretty much So we're gonna pick a purple color. We're gonna paint over the top portion of the eye here. And then we are gonna blur it. Oh no, that's not the right tool. We are gonna blur it. And then I think we're gonna go ahead and there are some things that you can do. I'm gonna kind of use the pen tool to almost make it look more like a flower here. And then I'm gonna go in again and I'm gonna repaint it to look like a flower because oh my gosh. And I'm gonna blur it again. Woo! And then you're like, oh man, but that doesn't look that great. You want to put it at probably about let's say 75% opacity, maybe it might be less. Yeah, I'll say a solid 70 is what you're gonna put it on. And I will reiterate, this isn't a required detail, it's completely optional. So let's go ahead and we're gonna make a folder called eyes. I'm gonna slap all this junk in the folder and then, as per usual, turn off the symmetry ruler and we're gonna do our cut and paste routine. We're gonna put this layer beneath the lashes, so it's actually in the freaking face like that. As you can see, it's a lot of layers so far, but it is coming together very well. the next thing we're gonna work on is we're gonna work on the eyelids and things like that. Consider it the finishing touches of the eyes. Now you're going to want the line color that you chose to use for the skin color. You're going to turn the symmetry ruler back on. I'm going to make a little layer here. I'm going to call it lid line. Oh my god, my caps lock is on. Lid line. And then you're gonna make the first line here, which for me is this one right here. I do want it to be a more subtle, nothing too crazy. And then, of course, I'm going to have another lid line, which is going to be this one right here. I'm going to name this layer eyelid. And then we're just going to take the color we picked for the shade for the face, and we're going to color this just a little bit. Something you have to keep in mind is that as the eye closes, it's not going to really factor in a lot of this stuff. Now these layers are going to go underneath basically all the other layers for the eyes. I'm going to soften it just a little bit. I don't want it to be too dark. Now, the lines and the shading here are going to make up this back sort of eyelid thing. But the other line that we made, this one, is going to remain separate. We're going to make a new line over here. Not like that. No, absolutely not. I'll figure it out. This is just how I draw. If you don't want to add this little detail, you don't have to. Especially since it's taking me so long to do. And I'm just like, erase, redraw, erase, redraw. Now this one's optional as well, but underneath this line layer, I'm gonna make a layer and I'm gonna call it makeup. You'd also call it eyeshadow or something to that effect. For me, personally, I just put MPK. No, MKP for makeup. Because I'm lazy and I want to abbreviate stuff. So I wouldn't know what kind of color that I would want in here, but typically I always do some sort of shading, coloring thing to this effect. You can change the color of the tone however you like. Typically I go more towards pinks because I find it a more natural color. But if I wanted to do green, I could absolutely do green. And in fact, I might lock the transparent pixels here and then do a little bit of a mix. Actually, well, I don't know if it would be better to just do a full green or a full pink. Yeah, I guess we'll just do that. usual routine. These. And do a nice little safety save. Now, there's a ton of other little things that you can add to the face before moving on. Because the next thing we will do after doing a couple little details will be the nose. But one of the things that I want to do first, I think, is going to be a nice little blush layer. And again, I've got caps locks going full ham out here. Turn back on that nice little symmetry ruler of yours, and we're just gonna do that there. Now, oh no, it's covering the eyes. That's fine. Just move it below the eye layer. And we're actually gonna hide it for now, because we don't need it right now. And then we're also gonna do, depending on how you like to do blush, you could also do a layer like this, or perhaps both layers, which I'm doing both layers because I enjoy this kind of thing. But if you want to have like a layer where they do little lines for the blush as well. I feel like that might be a bit too dark, honestly. Nice little subtle blush marks. I don't know, I like how those look. I'm gonna... For some strange reason, my lines don't really have much of a point to them. Like, there's no... They're so dull. Alright, I think that's the best version I've done so far, so I'm gonna leave it at that. But yeah, if you like to do these little blush lines, you can do this, or if you just do the overall blush where it's just like a spray painted blush, you can do that too, or you can even do both. Now, the next one we're going to work on is going to be the nose. Unfortunately for everyone, the way I'm doing noses now is an experiment that is completely different from the normal way that I do noses. Which means I have no idea what I am doing. Let's see, where did I leave this reference for noses? Okay, I have the gist of it. So the way that I'm going to be attempting to do a nose today is we're going to take the line art color we've been using so far for the skin. We're going to do a little... Probably can do better than that. Don't be afraid to redraw the same line 500 times to get what you actually want. Okay, so I'm gonna call this next layer Nose Highlight. And then because of how pale this skin is, I'm hoping that this will work. I might have to fiddle with that just a little bit. We're gonna have a little light for our nose. That'll be our little nose highlight. And then we're gonna go in and we're gonna do a shadow. So nose shade. Which will be the same color we've been using for shade this entire time. Turn off the symmetry ruler. Somehow that makes me feel like that's not the color we've been using for shade. I think I need to make it a little bit more faded out. See, look at that. That's nose-ish looking. And there is a little something that I'm going to do. You do not have to copy this because this is going to be very advanced rigging techniques. So if you do want to follow along, I'm going to call this one Nose Shade 2. follow around and go up like this. Put it on top of everything here. Kind of fade it out at the top a bit. Drag it beneath all that stuff, and for now, I'm gonna make another layer above that called nose control. And the nose control layer is gonna be the same color as the skin layer. It's just gonna go right over top of all this. In fact, I'm gonna turn back on the symmetry ruler to do this. We need to make sure it covers the whole thing. And then both of those are going to get turned off for use in rigging later. Make a folder real quick for nose. Keeping things organized is key in this process. So you definitely want to have lots of folders that you've separated everything into. All of the stuff that I've done so far, I'm going to move into the face folder. Right over top of everything else that is in the face folder. So now it's in one whole folder together, right there. Now, on to the next part of the face. Very important part. The mouth. Now, when you draw the mouth, you want to make it as, I guess, separated as possible in order to get the widest range of movement for all of your parts for the speaking. So you can do a bunch of different mouth shapes. Now I'm lazy, so even I probably won't do that much. But what I do is enough. Now, if you look at the sketch, we have this little awkward sort of mouth shape right here. So, unfortunately, due to the awkwardness of the mouth shape, there's a very good chance that I'm going to have to do the line art on two separate layers. One for the left side, one for the right side. Because if I don't, there is a very, very good chance, hi Chris, a very good chance that it's not going to rig properly because I won't be able to make as complex of mouth shapes with this. Because I decided to make the base face a funny shape. So, starting out with a vector layer, we're going to call this mouth line. Hello there, Chris. You have missed some stuff so far, but if you'd like to go back and ever go back over anything that we've done, I have highlighted the first tutorial stream, and I will be highlighting this one later. So, we have the mouth here, but due to the complexity of my current issue, we are going to have to go here, turn off the ruler, and split this into a separate layer. You'll name them the way you name all the others, so left side, right side, blah, 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 blah. Now, if you just do a normal mouth shape, you likely can just have a line and be totally okay. You probably won't have to split it into multiple parts. Only reason I do is because I chose a weird mouth shape. Intentionally for stylistic purposes. Alrighty, so we will have to like fade out the face here so we can actually see what we're doing. But underneath the mouth line, we are going to have to create a space for the lips, essentially. The lips are going to cover any of the inner mouth stuff, so we need to make sure that they're all kind of squared away. So I'm going to name this layer upper lip. And then turn back on the symmetry ruler. Definitely can't forget to do that. Whoops. Okay, so... we're just gonna have this be the upper lip. And then we have to make the lower lip. Now we will definitely have to tweak this when we are rigging. But for now, this is simple enough, good enough. For stylistic reasons, I don't think I'm going to give this character any sort of lipstick or anything like that. So I don't have to worry about that as a layer. What I do have to worry about, though, however, is the inner mouth. Now, I do not know why I unfaded the face, because that's not going to help me. I need to make sure everything lines up proper. Now, I am going to make the line art for this layer the exact same color as the line art for the skin. I know what you're thinking here. Ryu, that's a rather small mouth, isn't it? It'll be fine. Now, for the innermost part of the mouth, I usually do like kind of a dark red or kind of like a reddish pink, kind of like this. Not reddish pink, purplish red. It's not super purpley, but it's purpley enough that it kind of makes it darker. And then some people will actually go in and they'll be like, oh, I want like a darker color, like in the middle. That's fine. It works out well in some occasions. So once you have the inner mouth here situated, merge that with the line layer above. Once you have that situated, the next thing you're going to do is going to be the... Yeah, I'll do the tongue next. Yeah, we'll do the tongue next. So what I'm going to do for the tongue is I want the same color as the skin color, but I want it to be pinker. So I am going to kind of like tweak that color a little bit. I will say I am splitting the top of the tongue and the tip of the tongue into two separate layers, also for rigging purposes. If you don't want to do anything complicated like sticking out the tongue like that, then you don't need to do that. I think I need to turn off the symmetry ruler just to draw a little line in the middle. Oh my god! What have we done? Hello? Why it's broken? Nande. Every once in a while you'll have an artistic snafu. I do not know what's caused this. Give me a second. There we go, I've got it back. I hate that I can't draw a straight line. Oh my goodness. There we go. Good enough, at least. So. We'll call this layer tongue base. Make it a nice pink color. Oh my word. Symmetry ruler's off. We will lock the transparent pixels there and kind of like shade it just a little bit. Like that. And then this next layer we're going to call tongue tip. We might need to do some touch-ups. Oh, that's not it. We might need to do some touch-ups, but... Once you think you got it settled, let me actually turn off this sketch layer, it's driving me crazy. Once you think you got it settled, you can add any extra details you want. Like for example, on the tongue tip, if I wanted to, I could turn off the symmetry ruler and like come in here and be like, oh, maybe I want like a little shiny on the edge of the tongue. You could do that if you wanted. So the tongue base there, that's going to be the part that you have essentially inside the mouth at all times. And then when the time comes to stick out the tongue, that's what the tongue tip is for. Now what we need to do right now is we need to move on to doing the teeth. However, I need a drink. Okay. Now, doing the teeth. You're gonna have 2 sets of teeth. You're gonna have the upper teeth, and you're gonna have the lower teeth. There is also another factor you need to consider, and that is if your character has, like, really pronounced canines, then you may need to make each of those on a separate layer as well. Oh. I'm gonna take this color I used for the tongue and I'm going to make it a little bit more bluish. That's entirely too bluish. I'm a liar. Maybe like this. Okay. Teeth. So you're gonna have the upper set of teeth here. And then you're also going to have the lower set of teeth. Now, this character is a character that does have fangs. So we will have to draw in these fangs as well, but let's focus on the base layers first. So let's name this layer upper teeth. Teeth are one of the easiest things to do because, you know, you just color them white. With the exception if you're doing a fantasy creature of some sort that does not have white teeth. And we're gonna do the lower teeth. Yeah. Whoops. Now, drawing in the fangs. I think one thing you would need to consider, of course, would be the positioning of the teeth. I am gonna rearrange these. That way, if I want the fang peeking out, it would have to do so right about here. That should work beautifully. Because I do like the little fang peeking out, you know? So this is going to be up fang. Since I would have to have upper and lower fangs, and they would each need to have their own left and right. We have low fang. Okay, so if you like reach in your mouth and you feel your canines, the upper ones are more out than the lower ones. So the lower ones are gonna be more on the inside like that. And that's going to be how those work. It's very good to use things as a reference, whether or not that means shoving your entire hand in your mouth and feeling your teeth. The number of times that I've, like, stood in front of a mirror and just shook my head back and forth to understand the flow of hair and how it would look in motions so that I could do this. Oh, it's insane. I actually got dizzy doing it. Yeah, see, that's coming along quite nicely. Okay, so it's at this point you're gonna turn off the symmetry ruler again so that you can get these teeth on a separate layer. I'm gonna make a folder called Inner Mouth, so I can have all the inner mouth stuff in the same folder. With the exception of this one fang. So I'm gonna say inner mouth, excluding L fang up. That way I at least know it's everything but that. Then we hide it. And then we're gonna drag this. Beneath the lips. And this one's only gonna go under the upper. Oh, have I? Okay, that would be why. Okay. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix it. And then we're gonna make one big folder for just every mouth item. Take the mouth, drag it down into the proper place in the face layer. And boom, it is coming together quite nicely. Now, I still have a little bit of time before I have to end, so I think I'll do at least the neck and maybe the horns before stopping for the evening. Alrighty. Yeah, okay. So for the horns, I think we're going to maybe grab this lovely color we were using for the... That isn't... Nope. Sorry. Okay, there we go. I'm still going to keep it to things connected to the face, that way the tutorial's not quite a lie, but it's way, way too time-consuming to do the hair, which is why I'm not quite going to do the hair yet, but other things is fair game. So when you're doing the horns, you have to consider the fact that the horns would naturally be connected to the head. So when you're drawing the horns, I'm going to use this color for now, but I will be changing it later. So when you're drawing the horns, maybe do something like this. So you can see where they would actually physically be connected to the head. Now, are these the best lines? Absolutely not. Can I fix that? Probably. Sometimes you just can't win, so you simply have to just redo it or cheat. Just gonna try and do this gently this time. Hello, hello. Hello, Echo. just so I can pay very close attention to what I'm doing here. Now, horns come in a variety of different sort of styles. You can add extra details to them. Like, for example, if I wanted to, I could be like, ah, yes, horns, and then, like, do this maneuver on them. But I want these ones to be smooth, so I'm not gonna. I'm not sure yet if I don't want to do something like this. Nah, I'm not vibing with it. So we will be doing a more smooth horn style, which means I might make them a little bit shinier because they're smoother. Now, the color that I want to use for this is definitely going to be a darker red, maybe leaning towards the more purple variety. Like that. So you're going to go in with your nice little base color, which for now I've determined to be this. Do your little outlining. By the way, I forgot to say about the eyes, that if the gradient thing is too hard with the eyes, you can always just use the gradient tool provided by your art program, because most art programs have a gradient tool. So if it's too hard for you to actually stably paint on a gradient for the eye, then by all means use the tools provided to you and use the gradient tool. You only gotta worry about picking the color then. Alright, almost done here. Nice little paint bucket for our troubles. Making sure everything's squared away. Because I'm always paranoid that something didn't color correctly. Now the sketch is distracting, so we're gonna get rid of it for a second. Now, okay. It's not what, okay. It fixed itself. Now. We're gonna do the same thing we did to pick the shading color the last time with the skin, where we kind of go down and like over a bit. And then we're gonna just come in here and with our little paintbrush, gently go around the outside on one of the sides only. I'm only gonna do one of the sides. Although I might go in at the bottom and do like a little thing on one side, like right there, but that's about it. And then kind of blur it gently. And then because these are smooth horns, what we need to do is we need to come in and have a lighter color as well. I actually don't like that. Absolutely not. Nope, 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 nope. Like, I want it to be shiny, but I also have no idea what I'm doing. Don't ask me what I'm doing, even though it's a tutorial. I don't actually know. I'm just throwing down some colors, hoping something's gonna stick. Alright, we're gonna do something like this. Where we kind of like outline it with a darker color. And we're gonna go in here to our nice little blend tool. And blend the darker color kind of outwards. Do that on both sides because unfortunately the blending will not carry over. Then I'm gonna go over with the actual blur tool and kind of just still not have any idea what I'm doing. It just come to my attention that I am simply lost. Okay, oh my god. That doesn't really look right in my eyes. I love how I'm trying to give a tutorial on something I don't even know how to do. Well, I'll tell you what I do when things like this come around and I get a little bit stuck. I Google search references. So in this case, I'm gonna Google search shiny horns and see if I can't emulate what I find. Technically, I put in shiny horns shading. Pretty slim pickings on the internet, but you know, that's pretty standard. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start over. Base color. Lighter color. Darker color. Where's my paintbrush? Thank you. Lighter color, but only on this side. Even lighter color. I still don't know if that's exactly what I want. I'm still working on trying to figure this out. I can't find the exact style of horn that I want. It's driving me crazy. Thanks for the lurk. Smooth it out after making it so rough. So this, it kind of looks shiny. So to explain what I did was I did one side, well, I did the base color first, and then I did one side that was, I guess, kind of darker, which I think was this inner part here, and then I colored the light part only here. I did spray a darker color at the bottom and a lighter color at the top. And then I traced the outer edge here with a much lighter color. And then through the middle, I did like a line of that lighter color. And then I kind of like blurred and blended it in. And I do think it's not bad. However, it is not as shiny as I would like it to be. So I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna go to tonal correction and I'm gonna fidget with it. Brightness, contrast. Contrast? Hit auto adjust. Whoa! Auto adjust makes it scary. Yeah, absolutely not. What is this? And I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna go to tonal correction, hue. And if you go to hue, you can just kind of like make it whatever hue you want, you know? I may need to make things more vibrant because everything's looking super desaturated right now. Because this is vibrant, this is pretty, I like this. Okay, first things first. Turn off that symmetry ruler. We're gonna cut and paste this bad boy. Also, was a little slow to say it, but I hope you have been having a wonderful day, Joey. I'm gonna put the horns here in the face folder. Actually, no we're not. No, we're not. Okay, so first things first. I have to do these one at a time. Oops. I'm just going into the, I'm clicking on a layer, I'm going to edit, tonal correction, brightness, contrast. I'm setting it at 26 because it gives me the vibrance that I want. But you can just fiddle with that if you like, or you can just pick the right color the first time and not have to do this. Look how much more vibrant the eyelashes are. It's much nicer now. Definitely pops a lot more. I have a tendency to pick like very subdued colors. And to be honest, most of the time I don't even like that. I like them to be bright. I like them to be vibrant. I didn't know I could shut that tab. There we go. But as you can see, it's coming along quite nicely. We're going to turn back on the symmetry ruler and we're going to do make sure we have the right line art color. Well, there's stuff going on outside. Anyways, the neck is one of those things where I like to have a separate line art layer. Again, if you don't want to do as complicated a rigging process, you don't have to. But, ooh. A little bit wonky. All the way down. All the way down. Okay. So yeah, I'll have the neckline and the neck on separate layers. Fade out the face so that we can see what we're doing. And then paint that bad boy right there. Now the reason why I said to make the neck and the neckline on a separate layer is for the shade of the neck. So you're going to take the color that you chose for your shade and you are going to paint that in. And you can link that one directly to the below layer for that. Because when you rig, it will be directly connected here. And you want all of this to go below the face. Right now, what you should have is something like this. Maybe not exactly like this if you're taking your own creative liberties with your character, but in general, you should have the ears, the face, the eyes, the mouth, and the neck kind of all sorted out. Oh, can't forget the eyelids and the eyebrows. But all of that should be sorted out by now. We're slowly but surely working our way up to making a proper, fully fledged model. Now, if you do need to look back over this stream at any point, as I said, I will be highlighting it later. I have already highlighted the first one. My streams may not be the most helpful, but if you do have any questions or comments or concerns that you want to, like, hit me up, absolutely feel free to, like, contact me. I have a Discord. You can join there. You can ask questions. I'm always willing to help someone if they're trying to learn something that I know how to do. If I don't know how to do it, though, I will tell you I don't know how to do it and then try to refer you to some videos that explain it better than I could. But on that note, we are going to be weaseling our way out of the stream for the evening and going to figure out who we're going to raid. What lovely person is streaming today? What lovely person is streaming today? Alright, we got some art going. Ah. We also have not art. But I am always down to... Why did it give me that weird notification? Weird. Alright, anyways, now that I've gotten distracted, I'm always down to raid a friend, so I am going to actually send y'all over to... Let me type it out first. I'm gonna send y'all over to 0. Stretchy, stretchy, stretchy. I've been sitting for too long. Anyways. I'm not exactly sure what 0 is playing right now. Because their category is just chatting. But, 0's a cool person, so if you want to stick around, I'm gonna send you over there. And if not, I wish you a wonderful evening. Let me bop over to my actual end screen here. Oh, wow. My transition didn't know what it was doing. Ah! What happened? The audacity. I just wanted to do this. Thank you. Anyways. Oh, thank you for the hydrate. Anywho, thank you for those of you that came to hang out for the stream. The audacity. I had a wonderful time. Hope you all had a wonderful time. And I will see you all next time. And on that note, ta-ta for now. Boop. And a boop.